Former federal prosecutor Nama Rahmani confirms Diddy faces decades in prison on serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. His family has reportedly distanced themselves, no longer attending his bail hearings.
Now, earlier in the day, prosecutors outlined some of the items seized when they raided Diddy's homes. That included AR-15 rifles, ammunition, and images and videos of sex performances Diddy allegedly organized. Let's go to Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, former federal prosecutor, joining us tonight from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us today. Are you surprised that he's being held without bail, and what does that tell you?
I'm not surprised he's being held without bail because these are very serious allegations: sex trafficking, drug trafficking, some of which carry mandatory 10-year sentences in federal prison. That means the judge can't go lower than a amount. And of course, we know that Diddy, at least allegedly, according to the indictment, has threatened some of these witnesses and tried to bribe them. So given the nature of the charges and the fact that there's a presumption of detention for some of them, Diddy is being treated just like any other criminal defendant, despite his fame and his wealth.
Okay, so is the approach to this case similar to the way we saw the R. Kelly case being pursued?
It is similar because obviously we're talking about a RICO indictment, which is a corrupt criminal enterprise. And, we talk about racketeering. Of course, RICO is typically reserved for organizations like the mob or the cartel or street gangs, but it can apply to someone like Diddy with a large entourage. Obviously, they're being prosecuted by the feds, also in New York. In R. Kelly's case, it was prosecutors in Brooklyn, not Manhattan. But it's a very similar prosecution, but there is one key difference, and that is R. Kelly was charged with sexually abusing minors. And even though there were a lot of rumors and allegations of underage women at these parties,
this time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court. But you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there. And the caretakers of his younger children who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today. But his mom also wasn't in court today. So when Diddy came inside, it was still that standard issued NBC jumpsuit. He's wearing khaki. From that video of, I think that was obtained by Daily Mail back in September, of Diddy playing hacky sack in Central Park, to now he appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner, and maybe being locked up in detention is starting to wear on him.
Excuse me, are we back up, please? So get this out, I'll be out of here.
How are you going to be spending the holidays? How are you feeling today?
New allegations against Diddy emerge as former Donity Kane members Aubrey O'Day, Don Richard, and D. Woods file lawsuits, accusing him of objectifying them and valuing them solely for their sex appeal. In a recent interview, D. Woods detailed verbal abuse and degrading comments, which she also reflected on in the docuseries The Fall of Diddy.
Discovery docuseries is uncovering some new allegations about Sean Diddy Combs.
The Fall of Diddy, as it's called, features stories from some of those who worked closely with the music mogul, and that includes Danity Kane singer D. Woods, who was featured on the hit show Making the Band Free.
What would you say to Diddy if you had the chance to talk to him?
I honestly do not know, but I don't think you really have to say anything. As long as I'm holding my head up high and my shoulders back
I feel like I really want to hear this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Woods sitting down for an exclusive interview with ABC's Eva Pilgrim. She says what should have been a dream come true quickly became something else, alleging that Diddy created a verbally abusive work environment.
Somebody constantly treating you like a piece of meat, only valuing you for your sex appeal. And in some of the environments, you know, it was even scary to be by yourself.
Yeah, D. Woods is 3 of 5 members of Danity Kane who have spoken out over the last couple of years about abusive allegations during their time working with Diddy. He has denied all the allegations made against him in the documentary. He's facing trial later this year, charges including sex trafficking and racketeering.
Diddy's legal team has officially acknowledged the existence of his freak-off tapes and requested copies for review. However, Judge Aaron Subin denied the request after prosecutors argued that Diddy intended to use the footage to embarrass Cassie. While his team is permitted to review the tapes under supervision, their insistence on obtaining copies raises suspicion. The tapes, originally handed over to the FBI by Cassie, are now being spun by Diddy's team as evidence of her supposed happiness and satisfaction with him.
In their letter, they write, quote, "Having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes film their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself." And we believe, by the way, victim 1 to be Cassandra Ventura. This is Diddy's ex, who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit against Combs back in 2023. She was in that infamous surveillance footage that was published by CNN of an incident that happened in a hotel hallway where Combs is beating Ventura just while wearing a towel. It's a very disturbing video. He argues the videos don't show any orgies or celebrities or violence or coercion or threats or manipulation or evidence of anyone being under the influence of drugs, that this is not sex trafficking. Quote, "The premise that freak-offs are inherently dangerous shows that the government seeks to police non-conforming sexual activity and that it assumes, despite all evidence to the contrary, that a woman's willing participation must have been coerced." That's interesting because that's something we've long suspected, that the defense is not going to shy away from the term freak-offs. They might accept, yeah, Combs called these freak-offs, but this was entirely consensual. It was all on the up and up. It might be different to you and me, but there's nothing illegal going on here.
If the government is the government in the Southern District of New York, I can't imagine this is what they're hanging their hat on if it's what the defense describes. It's like one of those things that when you have a weakness in a case, the government has to decide how they're going to use that. My guess is they're going to use it to show that there were sex workers, that these sex workers were paid. I would imagine that they have the sex workers that are in the video to come in and describe what was going on or what happened before they went on tape, whether or not they had drugs or alcohol or anything else, whether or not Cassie had drugs or alcohol, whether or not there was a discussion between Sean, Combs, and Cassie before the tape started. So
Right.
I think that the tape is going to be one portion of it, but the testimony of either the sex workers that were in the video and or Cassie is going to kind of tie it together. That's my guess.
Interestingly, these tapes will be played in court alongside other electronic evidence seized by the FBI. A grand jury will review all footage taken from Diddy's mansion. Prosecutors argued that these videos are crucial to their case, while Diddy's legal team insists the tapes do not support the prosecution's narrative of illicit conduct.
When the trial starts and the jury sits, will they be shown these tapes?
100%.
Will they have to watch it in court? Like during
100% in court in front of a room of people. And so that's the other thing that's awful. They are going to be watching basically porn for hours on end in front of people. So in front of victim 1, whoever it may be, there's going to be porno played in the federal courtroom.
And victim one would have been made aware of this.
Oh, 100%. She's probably being told right now, like, this is going to be played in open court. Your sex history, your sex life is going to be talked about in open court. All of this.
And presumably then she knows that and she's pushing forward because she hasn't withdrawn.
But don't forget this. It doesn't matter if she does or she doesn't. This isn't a civil case. This is the criminal case. So she could flat out tell the federal government, I don't want to participate. And they can say, we don't care. This is a crime. Crimes are against the United States, not against it. Keep calling her victim one, but don't forget, she's a witness to a crime. So it doesn't matter if she went to them in today and said, I'm not participating. Their response, we don't care. Get your ass on the stand.
Do they prep you for stuff like this in law school? Do they say, you know, you might do a case and you might have to watch hours of pornographic material and comb through it? Like, what's the semester on for this?
Well, you're exactly right. They don't prepare you for that because you understand every case is different. So you read about cases. Like, I think this Diddy case is going to be studied forever. You know, I think it's going to be studied